What did Cliff just say?
I
With
hope you get
bullshit.
abused in your nursing home.
Oh my god. Is that about Ty?
Yep.
Yeah. Is he at a nursing home yet, or?
He might be. We don't know after
He's
this
getting there.
episode. We don't know.
Hey everyone, welcome into episode 48 of Big Deck Energy. We're talking about bands, Zen, Nats shaping up, and the future of the competitive scene. I'm Zack. I'm filling in for Tyler today because he's out doing Tyler things, probably being old. So I'm joined by Josh and Bailey in the studio. So should be a good conversation with the guys.
Well,
Yeah, thanks for coming on tonight, man. We appreciate it.
every second of it.
Yeah.
It's a great fill-in to
Lots
have you
to-
here.
Lots to talk about with Zen this week, and this weekend. There was quite a few Nats this weekend. I think kind of just closing out the season.
We just finished
Think-
up Nat season.
Zach,
to a
I think you
closing.
and I watched like 3 or 4 different ones just playing games this weekend with Sean.
Yeah, I think we watched Singapore, Hong Kong, and was it Japan?
Think it was Japan. It had to have been Japan.
Yeah, or maybe it was Canadian Nats. We were able to watch like the tail end of that.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. We were
probably
watching
was
a bunch of games. Really good games this weekend. I think the meta, like the third week of national season, has really shaken itself out. Obviously, we can talk about bands to Zen, but I think just like seeing the news in the top 8, seeing Victors in top 8, like just a little more variety of decks. And then obviously, if you saw Canadian Nats had 6 Zens in the top 8, which was disgusting. Obviously, I think bans to Zen were called for. Now, were they enough? Did they do the right thing? Are they going to push them in the direction that LSS wants that deck to play? I think that's a different schedule, different conversation.
Yeah, and for anyone that hasn't seen the banned and restricted announcement yet, the hits to Classic Constructed, both yellow and blue Bonds of Ancestry were banned.
Woof.
So
That hurts.
they left the reds alone. I think Carter said it in one of our other discords, but they essentially just made Bonds a Majestic now, which was kind of funny.
Did you guys see their comment on that? LSS's comment to that?
Which comment? 'Cause they
Well,
they
made a
restricted
few.
list is a pretty
made-
long read. This week.
Yeah, they made a few, and one of the best ones was, "Don't worry, Katsu's still gonna be able to find his Dishonor chain," which is
yeah, they kind of hinted at him getting something in the Rosetta expansion. Not even hinted. They straight up said he was getting something in the like Rosetta expansion slots. So, my guess is it'll be some type of specialization. So there you go, Ty. They kind of did confirm new Shyana cards in Rosetta.
woof. You know it's gonna be a blue
Ninja
0.
cards as well.
But before we get into these full band talks, why don't we get into our weeks in Fab and cards?
Yes.
I do have to bring up a little note, as in a Star Wars fan. Shadows of the Galaxy comes out the 11th. Everybody's going to hate me for it. I know Ty's already given me shit, but I was up at the cabin for this weekend. Played a little Talishar, played with some Zen. You know, I was hoping for the Boots ban and maybe Ancestral Harmony from talks that I heard, so I started playing the deck without those. It's been a little rough. Not great, but it's been okay. And then all of a sudden they come out with this ban list of blue and yellow bonds. Woof. Woof. But I know Bailey, you played in Armory this week, did you not?
I did. I went back to my roots this weekend with the O2 start.
Oh,
I played Dylan Dietz ended up coming out. He brought someone else with him too. I didn't catch their name, but always nice when some of those guys from the cities make it out. Lost to him round one. He was on new, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of just like went into that matchup and rolled over. I famously hate assassin matchups. Like I don't care who is playing what assassin. If I see an assassin across the table from me, I'm already just like, oh great, that's fun. So I definitely punted a decent bit in that one, unfortunately, just because of how I was thinking about that match. And I maybe could have won if I'd played a little bit cleaner, but he did kind of just roll over me. And that was that. I played into Nathan round two, who is still on his like dual wield Olympia bullshit with the. He was on Axes this weekend though. There was no hot streak and dagger. It was just pure Axes.
still
And
fatigue though, right?
I mean, I don't think you could say it's like technically fatigue, but it's more of like that defensive kind of game plan. Really playing for like the late game. He came out swinging like turn 2 or 3 though, and was able to like pump one of the axes to like 9 power.
Oof.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I was on Azalea, who famously does not like to block. So having that like right out of the gate really just put me at a disadvantage there. And then played into Sean round 3, managed to pick up my first and only win of the day into his Crouching Tiger Zen. So hey, shout out to Sean for being ahead of the curve on the Crouching Tiger Zen list.
Factual.
He's got a pretty clean Crouching Tiger list. It's the same list I think that he was playing last weekend, and there's a couple of like scary turns
and
where
we got to
kinda
know
just like
that he crushed Ty on. Absolutely crushed Ty on. And Ty was devastated.
this
Guys
weekend.
are
No,
retiring from
last
Ninja,
weekend.
never coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see the game, so I don't know how bad it was, but I mean, he beat him on Ty was on the Bonds list, so who knows? Maybe from the start, Crouching Tiger was supposed to be better, anyways.
True.
I don't know about that though. They didn't ban anything Crouching Tiger related, so
That is true. They still say that it's good, so we'll see what happens. So Bailey, you
Yeah.
ended up 1-2.
Yep. No, 2-1. No, 1-2. Yeah, you had it
1-2.
right the first time.
Yep. Well, Zach, did you play in an armory this weekend?
Yeah, I got one in on Saturday. What was it? I was on Prism, still on Prism train. I'm currently building my own Crouching Tiger Zen list, which the Bonds band I think is good for my deck building. But I'm still on the Prism train. I really like my deck. I feel like it's pretty good into this meta, but I kind of got tough matchup. Round 1 was Reinar, and I missed sideboarded, and that's such a losing matchup anyways. As Prism, they went first. They were able to intimidate me, claw into swing big, and I had a no block in my hand. So I'm just like, I guess I take 10 off the swing big, or they just. Yeah, it was silly. It was not a good matchup. I kind of clawed my way back from that, but too much damage turn 1. Second matchup was a new matchup, which is it's my complete opposite experience than what you have Bailey facing an assassin. New's running like 6 poppers at the most, maybe 9 into certain matchups. And I was just able to kind of just like play a little tempo game plan, strip a couple cards from their hands, swinging heralds because they don't want me to get soul.
Yep.
And then I was able to get Genesis on the field to be able to fuel my soul, just waiting for me to draw into something to be able to hit. fetch my erudition and then wait within ALS, and then kind of do the full swing erudition, draw some cards, play out ALS, wait, and then I got really lucky. I got a angel to hit in my hand was an ALS, and I had the blues to play for it, so I was just able to just flip my erudition, set my ALS, and then I kind of was able to just like huge tempo swing from there, and then I got him down to 1, and then just took a couple turns of just going Herald. Can you block it out? Nope. Okay, cool. I got there. So that was my round 2, which felt good. And then round 3 was an Azuri matchup. Azuri matchup is interesting because Azuri can run some 6-power cards without really being punished the same way like new. Like, so I feel like Azuri's on like 12 to 15 poppers. So like every time you turn around, you're getting popped, or they can just block out. And with surgicals and all the other this good majestic cards that Azuri has access to, like I got in a fine spot. I was able to play out a merciful turn 1, and then they just snowballed and they went aggro. And when Azuri goes aggro and you're kind of trying to do like the tempo aura game plan, it's kind of downhill from there. So that was not the best matchup for me. And then I finished with an Enigma, which is not a fun matchup as Prism. Just their ability to play out Spectre auras that you have to interact with on some level, and then just dealing with Ward that they can kind of just like infinitely push out at instant speed and just allow you not to get your on hits.
Yep.
Frustrating matchup. So like I felt pretty good in the early game of that one, and then they were able to get down 2 auras, and then from there it's just like, well, I'm blocking out all the time, and it's just eventually you run into a hand that doesn't block, you're already on 32 health, and they just snowball out of control, which is the standard illusionist matchup issue. But fun armory going 1 and 3, but just looking forward to like putting Tiger Zen together and playing that as the Bonds ban goes into effect.
Yep. So you recently were a local legend at Legends. You played at the New Zealand Nats. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, so I played side events at New Zealand Nats, which was a lot of Blitz events, which was not Bailey's least favorite format, I think, by far.
Is Blitz kind of one of the like primary formats over there, or
no? I play a lot of CC over here. Usually I play Saturdays is CC, and then there's another armory I go to on occasion on Thursday nights, which is CC. And then there's one store on Sunday that rotates through formats, but they're more of a casual store anyway. So either do CC, draft, blitz, and sometimes they do commoner. So like there's a lot of CC. The area that I'm in and the people I play with are pretty competitive. So there were 2 guys that I play with pretty consistently that top 8'd New Zealand Nats, and then there were another handful that were like top 16 and got invites to Worlds. So that was cool to see.
Nice.
But my side event was I was just there to get as many Flick Flack promos as possible and just play games and have fun, and that's what I did. So there was a Blitz tournament that I did Prism for, and then there was one that I did Zen for, and both of those I think I went 2-2. So just like varying. So
nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Blitz is a high roll format, but like I think the more I played it, the more I was like, 1, this isn't my format, and 2, I can see why you have to be so aggro, or you just play like the heavy control deck. Like Victor is so strong in Blitz because he's like, here's a fridge and then some, and then I'm gonna still swing back. Yeah. So fun times.
Okay, so question about your Flick Flack promos.
Ooh, Billy read my mind.
Every single Flick Flack promo that was given out at the US Nats side events looked like a Pringle. They were so curved.
The first one I got was really curved, but I put it in the sleeves right away, and they've kind of unpringled out. So, lucky with that. But like when we got them, like they put it like on the table and was literally just a huge curve. Like,
there was so much like audible disappointment going on around the tables when they were handing them out at the US side events. Everyone was like, "Oh, what is this?
What is this $80 promo doing at a Pringle?"
But I'm lucky mine are not Pringled at the moment. They've kind of I put them in my deck box, flattened out, which is good. So
Yeah, I ended up doing like the old school book trick with mine. Put them in like the inner sleeve, outer sleeve, top loader, smushed it under a couple books, and it finally flattened out. But I was like, oh my god, the quality. I don't know if it has something to do with the quality control or just like the environment. Because like I don't know. From what I've heard, humidity and stuff like that kind of plays a part in like especially like the foils pringling like that.
See, you say that, and look at my basement. My basement's 50 degrees, and in every single like foil that I have is completely foiled and pringled. So I don't know what's going on there, but that's my whole story about it. So I don't know if they kept it in cold conditions or warm conditions. Really doesn't matter. It's all pringled.
Imagine going back there and just watching them pull all the promos out of the fridge.
it's like this one's cold and this one's cold. Wait, this one's not a Pringle guy. Go back.
They're coming around with like their little Yeti cooler, handing them out from the cooler.
They honestly should. Hopefully it keeps them not as pringled.
Oh, that'd be funny.
But why don't we get right into some of the Nats talk here? We had some big Nats coming up here. A lot of different heroes that won. A lot of same heroes that won in week 3.
I was about to say, what do you mean a lot of different heroes? There's like
whoa.
three. I don't want to get into spoilers, but there was like 3 heroes on this entire list from just this weekend that are not.
It might be
Zen.
4. It might be 4, but yeah.
It is 4. It is 4.
I mean,
I think we've known for a while Zen is the best deck currently in the format. We can talk about the bans later. That's the plan there. But like Zen won 6 nationals, and he won like some big nationals too. I said this earlier. Canada, there were 6 Zens in the top 8. Poland, Singapore, Sweden, Thailand, like all of those were dominated by Zens. I think in Sweden, it was Zen in the finals was up 32-2 on a Victor. Like a ninja just slapping a guardian around. Like I don't think that was the design, and the fact that there's the consistency level to Zen right now to be able to push out that damage is a little much. But like, yeah,
I watched a very similar game to that in the Canadian Nationals top 4. There was a Zen paired into a Victor, and I think the Victor was down to like 7 or something, and Zen was still sitting pretty comfortable at like 20-30 life, which is just ridiculous for that kind of matchup. The fact that Zen is able to just punish even like the most defensive decks in the format and essentially just have no consequences for doing it is insane.
Yeah,
it is.
Like, and I think like we can talk about the bans now maybe, but like if you also look at like the fact that like Zen is warping the meta, like the fact that I've seen Enigmas on screen. I don't think Enigma won any Nats this week, but the fact that like Zen is so dominant to put in the pressure, like the whole all of Enigma's game plan just goes out the window. And it's just like the question is, if you're playing Enigma, like you can beat New, you can beat Victor, you can pretty much beat anything but Zen. And so like I just have to dodge that matchup and you have a chance. Like that's not a fun game to play, playing the gem lottery that way. It's just like
I also don't think you're winning that lottery in terms of dodging Zen matchups at the moment.
Being the most played deck,
too many of them.
Being the most played deck, it's
those
really
top 8
hard.
tables.
It's scary to try to dodge a deck in quotations. With Zen just running the meta with all this bonds talk and whether or not he truly needs it and what the band's going to be around him, it's really scary. And I mean, just the living legend points coming off of just this season with Zen is scary enough to talk about alone.
Yeah. I don't know how accurate this count is, but at least the count that I'm looking at has him at 380 points just from this season alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think there's that includes some unreported ones that I think were Zen or the mat, but like it's still he's looking at like almost like 500 LL points right now.
which is
I don't know. We kind of saw similar when I don't remember off the top of my head, but what is KO at currently?
It was at like 6 something.
Because KO around the heavy hitters release also really just came out swinging. Yeah,
He did.
It was at
630.
632.
He's at 632 with 75 this season for the Misfail season. So if you do 632 minus 75, that's around.
Really sitting around 700.
That's around
A little under 700.
560. So I mean, he gained 560 during the heavy hitter season,
Yeah.
which is a ton. But I mean, just to go to show that they come out with a new set, they come out with Zen. Zen is already crushing it and crushing the top deck of that season of heavy hitters is scary enough to talk about, and that's why we got these bands.
KO's not even in the meta.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing to talk about. Outside of Andrew Rothamel at US Nats, like KO has been like non-existent.
What is he won? One Nats?
Makes me kind of wonder though. So like we had KO come out ripping right in his meta too. He gained very similar amounts of points in the heavy hitters era, but we didn't see any like really targeted like brute bans. So what is it about Zen that's so different?
I mean, I
was
think
like KO dominance for a while.
I mean, they mention it in the banned and suspended like article. Like I think like the play style that they were aiming for and the play style that Zen currently is exuding are not in line with like what they want the game of Flesh and Blood to be. Like I think like that plays a role into it. I think that like KO being a strong deck, I think was fine for that meta, but like now he's like non-existent. So it's hard to balance. Like I think like when there's 20 something heroes in the game, like there can't be a complete.
I think it's like 30 something.
Okay, there's 27 heroes in the game.
Yep.
It's hard. Like you're not going to get an equal distribution of all 27 heroes. Like there's going to be like a stronger pool of heroes. Like we have like the top 5: Zen, Nu, Enigma, Prism, Victor, Azalea.
For every KO, you have a Betsy. So
yeah, like and Olympia and Max the Hype Nitro. Like those decks are going to get their time in the sun. Yeah, Teklos.
No, I do want to note that when KO was going off, that was before they changed the Living Legend points. Zen's already doing as much as he possibly can and putting out as much points with this Living Legend change. That's
right. Yeah, KO's events just gave more points.
Yeah, so it's scary what Zen is actually doing, and I completely agree with LSS what they're doing with the ban and restricted, but they went in a completely different direction than I thought they truly were going to go, from what the whole community talk was going to go with. I
think heading into the announcement, a lot of people were thinking that we were going to see something along the lines of Stride the Reprisal and maybe like Ancestral Harmony. And I don't know, I can still see where they were coming from with the Ancestral Harmony talks. Like it just really like there's no downside to running it in the deck. It's a 0 cost, blue, blocks for 3, turns on all of your Transcend cards to kind of like fuel the tutor turns and whatnot. So I wouldn't have been surprised to see it. I am extremely surprised to see both yellow and blue bonds get hit. But I think that, I mean, at least with their reasoning, like it makes sense as to why they hit those 2 cards.
They're just powerful cards. And I know, Bailey, you and I were standing there watching Andrew Rothamel and Evan Hernan play at the final. And we heard somebody say they need to ban bonds. And you and I both looked at each other and we went, no way.
And went, they will never do that.
And look where we are. Blue and yellow bonds.
They made bonds a majestic. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's
truly what they did. It's crazy.
It's now just a red one of, like, there's, like, it's like every other majestic. It doesn't run in a cycle, like.
Yeah, and I think leaving the reds over the other colors makes the most sense to.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think blue being the fact that it's a blue, which means it can engage a transcend. Like, I think it's fine that it's a red. Like,
Yeah, it kind of forces the people that still want to play bonds to find something else to fill that blue slot.
yeah.
And there are still very good options for it. Especially now that they're kind of going to have to pivot towards more tigers, most likely.
Yep. Tiger build. That's the main focus of what
But-
the set was full tiger build.
Yeah, and they admitted it
And
in
they
the article
said
too,
as-
like their development and their testing was around the idea of crouching tiger Zen,
Yep. So we're
and to
gonna
make
see.
that work.
I think we're gonna see a little bit more like predatory strike, kind of just like straight tiger focus. But how does this hurt Katsu? What's your guys' thoughts on that? How does it
It gut
truly hurt
Katsu.
him? Yeah. Yeah.
Like I mean, Katsu just needs the yellow and the blues because it gives him more options off his search and like all of those other things that like you can do as Katsu. But yeah, good luck, Katsu. Like
we haven't seen him in a top 8. We haven't seen him do much this season. And
I
it's
don't
like
think anyone's playing him.
I mean, Zen's just the better ninja. So it's like, why would you play Katsu when Zen can literally search any combo card that you need off of when you pump?
I think
I think there were
lot
8
of the
Katsus at US Nats, and that was the most there was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
a lot of the entrenched ninja players right now are, in my opinion, doing the same thing a lot of the like very entrenched Azalea players did when Lexi came out, and are going, this is just like the objectively better deck. It still is like in my class that I love playing. So like, what is the downside to pivoting to this deck?
So my second question to that for you two, for me also, but would you guys rather play Fi over Katsu?
I mean, I think so. Like Fi got some cards in Mistveil. Like Aspect of Tiger body is a red 0 cost that blocks 3. Like it has go again
It
if
works.
it precedes a red card.
It works
Like-
for Shuko. I mean,
Yeah.
it hits everything that Fi wants to.
Yep.
So
I think
I-
Fi is such an interesting deck that like again, no one's playing Fi because everyone's like Zen's the new shiny thing on the street, and he's obviously strong, but like Fi can do some strong things as well. It's just
It's just Fi's explosive turns are nowhere near the level of insanity that Zen explosive turns.
It's-
Fi's
are at
explosive turns are
currently.
like 18 damage. Zen is like, are you dead yet?
it's literally the Ancestral Harmony combo card, because you're hitting all your combo cards with Zen. You're able to find combo cards so much easier than Fi. I just think it's with Art of War and Ancestral Harmony that makes Zen so much better. But if they were to ban Ancestral Harmony, do you think Fi would be as good as Zen?
No, I still don't think so.
I think Zen is, until I see
Zen-
otherwise, Zen is the best ninja.
Zen still has access to traverse strides. Like
I've had a few
there's
games.
no way Fi can keep up with that.
I've had a few games on Talishar where Fi has kept up with my Zen quite well. And if it's honestly all dependent on Art of War, whether or not they see it first before my Zen. And I have my Transcend card. If they see that first, my Zen is dead. Because I don't want to block. I literally don't want to block a single card that they're throwing at me.
Yeah, but neither do they.
I mean, I think that's the idea behind Zen in general is like you don't like he's a glass cannon. That's just like, can I puke out all the damage?
True. That is true. What else do you guys think about this ban and restricted? To kind of finish up on that, do you guys think it's going to
there wasn't
hinder him? I mean, truly in the meta, Do you think we're going to see
I mean,
a
I
lot
think
more?
Absolutely.
I
It
think it
makes
does
the
hurt him.
bonds way less consistent. You're gonna see a lot fewer of like the triple bonds turns where they're able to just like puke out the entire rainbow of bonds in a single turn. So I think it definitely will hurt him, but I think we'll still see quite a bit of Zen at even like that high level of play.
Do you think we'll
It'll
see?
be interesting seeing what it looks like, though. I guess we'll get a better picture of it, I think, 2 weeks from now, heading into Pro Tour Amsterdam.
I was just about to
And
ask.
they did it again, too. I think Ty called this out a few episodes back. But LSS really does have a history of like really shaking up the meta, like right before a Pro Tour or right before Worlds. And here we are heading into Pro Tour Amsterdam within the next few weeks, and they're like, yeah, Zen is losing 75-80% of the combo line.
So, what are your
Go
guys'
figure out the rest of it.
Fine that LSS does that. Like, I think like if we're talking about pro players, like they need to be the ones to be able to make the adjustments of when bans come down in 2-3 weeks. They all have testing teams and things like that. And like Sean already figured out Crouching Tiger Zen, so like I'm sure pros can figure it out too. Like if they still want to play Zen. I think the thing that this ban does that's going to be good for the meta is the fact like I think it's going to make Victor New those disruption decks have more of a game plan into Zen other than I hope they don't draw the thing. Like I think it gives those disruptions blocking decks like a space back in the meta, which allows the meta to be a little bit. I think this is like heavy hitters was great meta. I think now we're gonna have experience a really strong meta as well, and that's good for the game.
Do you guys think that we're going to see Zen being the most represented deck in the Pro Tour, or do you think we're going to see a different deck?
That is
That's a good question.
really good question. I think Zen will still have a very strong representation. Only time will tell how strong that representation is, but I think at the moment, even with the bans, there's a decent chance that we still see him at the top.
I mean, I think he'll be like I'm not sure if he'll be the top, but he'll be up there. I think like Azalea has some legs back. Like I don't know, maybe people
KO.
Enigma. I think the opportunity an Enigma has in this meta opens up a lot more with some of those bans. Like she can now maintain her board state a little bit better. Like maybe there's a rogue deck like Riptide. Maybe like I don't know. Like
Ooh, you're talking.
there's always a random rogue deck like that shows up to these pro tours and this surprises everybody.
I do think Riptide is a really good deck, and you're talking up Cliff's alley right now, and I know he's about to freak the fuck out whenever he hears this episode.
So funny, because how often have we been like, oh my god, like why would anyone play Riptide? It's just like
dude,
objectively a bad deck.
Dude, Murky Water is a good card.
Mean, he's got Murky Waters. He's got what was the other
Long
one that
draw,
came out
half
of
glove. Long draw.
No, I'm thinking of the other arrow, Intoxicating Shot.
Oh
like,
yeah,
he's got all of these
great
also offensive options now to kind of like supplement his defensive game plan. Because I mean, the biggest thing I think that was holding Riptide back was that he didn't have any like strong finishers to the game. You could like whittle them down with the traps and the little tiny arrows over the course of the game, but once you got down there, like there wasn't really a whole lot that you could do to change that.
That's true.
That dominated Murky hurts.
Because it's coming in for 7 with like relevant on hits. Like I think Riptide, if you can kind of guess the meta and you can build the deck right, I think it will be like the same thing we saw with Pro Tour 1 when all the Starvos were running around and all the Kano showed up because no one was on AB. Like it's gonna be like a similar type of thing. Who's the deck that can be built creatively enough to attack some of these other things happening to the meta? And I think I think this Zen ban opens up other decks having a space in the meta, so that's a possibility.
Talking about other decks in the meta, Zach, give us a little 2 cents about Grease with Prism
Grease
winning
had
the
a
Nats.
Prism win Nats, which we love to see. Yeah, I didn't get to get a look at the deck list at all, but like I think it's cool that like Prism's winning a Nats. Like she's a strong deck. I think she's bad for the game if she is the meta because she has some uninteractive things with Spectra, ALS, and Angels and Allies are kind of just an interesting mechanic. But like her being at the top of the meta, I think is good because it provides just a different play style that you have to worry about. But it's good to see Prism top in the Nats.
My next question is, do you think Prism, obviously since she won a Nats, do you think it's fair that she has the 32 life as a Prism player in a Prism main, or do you think she should be bumped up a little bit more?
No, 32 is fine. If you think about it, like each angel when you flip it gives you 4 health. So if you can flip 2 angels a game, that you're pretty much playing at even life.
You're netting 40.
More or less.
Yep.
Yeah, so it allows you to get back to theoretical 40. I mean, there's games like into like the matchups that feel like into like new or even like into like other matchups. Like if I had more health, it just gives me more time to like wait to be able to do my thing. And when Prism is able to pop off, she does some pretty powerful things, especially depending on the build. Like she can, like if you're on like a Vestige build with Tome, like you're gonna be able to draw like 700 cards and do whatever you want. And good luck dealing with that.
I've experienced that on Zen. Let me tell you, drew about 10 cards, pitched about 6, and 2 Tome of Divinities, 2 Sorayas. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I was baffled. But I mean, Prism can always do strong things. So I'm glad that we saw Prism, will win a Nats. We saw Prism at US Nats. I think she got 40 owed against Enigma, if I'm correct.
That sounds right.
Enigma
Prism is such an interesting matchup because I think on paper it looks like it's Prism favored because she can come in with Angels and Heralds and like she's threatening some pretty high damage numbers. And then when you actually look at the matchup, and I've played this matchup probably like at least once a week since Enigma's come out, and it's just every time it's just a grind. Just because Enigma has the ability to be like, oh, I'm gonna ward everything and you get no value, and then I'm gonna swing whatever, or they're able to set up a manifestations of Mirror Guy, and then you have to find a way to clear that, and you can't attack it directly, which is really unfortunate.
I was just about to say that Mirror Guy is devastating.
Mirror Guy, Rage Scepter, like Enigma has some really powerful M's that came out in the set that she builds and plays around. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see like how Enigma decks evolve too. I think we're in like a really cool spot with this meta, and I'm just excited to see where things play out for Pro Tour.
Yeah, I don't think that Enigma is anywhere near solved yet, and there's going to be a lot of really cool things to come out of that deck still.
I agree. I think she is still a powerful deck, and I think she is kind of a true fatigue with, a big heavy hitter here and there. I've been seeing a few more decks run like Cosmic Awakening, to be honest, for like the end game, and just throw a 20 blow at the end, which is honestly devastating. But I'm excited to see what people do with Enigma. I know she's kind of like the forgotten deck of Misfail. And I don't want to say that because New's been winning more recently over like Zen a few times. I know in week 2 we had a lot more New winning over Zen. This past week we had a lot more Zen winning over New. But New still ran some of the Nats. I think she won 4. Was it 3 or 4?
She won Singapore.
I don't remember the exact number. I know she won in Japan and she won in
Hong Singapore. Kong. No, she won Hong Kong, Japan, and another one.
Right. So it was 3. So I mean, New
it was at least 2, maybe 3. But like, I think again, New is like on paper it looks like it's the deck that disrupts Zen or disrupts like the aggro decks, which is awesome. But I also think at the same time, New isn't solved yet. I think New has like so many just like different ways that she can like build her deck. There's so many like stealth cards out there. There's so many just like interactions that she has that like I think she is far from solved, and like watching a good new player pilot that deck is a lot of fun to witness. Unless you're on the receiving end of that, then it's just painful.
Yeah, devastating, one may say. I know new. Have you guys noticed that like a lot of the sets that have come out recently, I want to say like the past 3 sets, there's always been a puzzle hero. Always a puzzle hero. With Bright Lights, we got Tekla, absolute puzzle. With heavy hitters, we have had, who was it? I don't want to say KO. I want to say like Kasai was kind of a puzzle.
Kasai and maybe a Victor in a way is a puzzle too. It's just like how do you like because he doesn't want to run like block cards, but
Yep.
he wants to get value off clashes. So it's just like he has to find the value of that. Like I think there is a puzzle in that deck construction.
And then we got new and Misfail. So I kind of dig this whole new set build where there's always a puzzle hero to build, and where people really got to dive in and figure out how to build them.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I love most about this game is just like when you kind of just like sit with a new hero and you just like try to theory craft and like build the deck. Which like I mean like Sean and I have talked a lot about this like building a Crouching Tiger Zen, and like we're on similar-ish builds, and like it's a fun deck to play. I'm like, am I gonna like win a pro tour on it? I don't think so. I have to qualify for that first, but like it's just fun to play, and I think the things that that this game rewards is special with like deck building and other things like that. Like it will be interesting to see the puzzle of Enigma and New get solved as we kind of just like get deeper in their lifespans.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, is there anything else you guys want to kind of conclude on for Nats and the banned and restricted?
Yeah, I want to touch on it real quick as far as banned and restricted goes. I know it's not everybody's favorite format, but we did get some changes to the Living Legend format as well.
That is
with
true.
Channel Lake Frigid being unrestricted.
Helps a lot of
And
decks.
we are able to finally play all 3 of them again. So I'm looking at Icelander again with kind of new eyes. Now that I'm able to play all 3 copies of that, I think she might have a chance.
I mean,
We'll see.
Even Lexi, even old him, being able to run all those cards makes a huge difference. I think in the Living Legend format. It's not even just Icelander. I mean, yes, it helps her a ton, but the fact that all 3 of those ice heroes are able to run that card, it's a blue block 3 and a fantastic blue that runs fantastically in all 3 of those decks. So I think it's a great change. I don't think it's going to hinder.
It's a card we need in the current meta. I'm going to be honest.
Especially with Zen running around. Do you guys think that Zen can, in Living Legend, can hold up against some of those Starvos and some of those Lexis that are...
I mean, he gets Stubby Hammerners, and then he gets both of his other bonds back. Like, I think it would just be like fun to witness, but like again, like LO is not a format that like I'm gonna go out of my way to like have to play the best deck. I'm just like, it exists, that's fine. But other bands that we got, I just want
to play my Lexi and my Icelander again.
Yeah, and
that's how I view LL.
That's a perfect. I think that's the best way to view LL. Also, with this, we got 2 bans for Blitz. We Crown of Seeds is officially banned, but we knew that one was coming. And then Wizards take a slight blow here for a little bit in Wildfire and Aether Flare are banned. But with that, we got a new spoiler card. So getting a little tease of the things to come in Rosetta.
Yes, sir. I absolutely hate this card. I mean,
yeah.
It's kind of weird. I mean, it gives us a little look into it. Bailey, do you want to read this card off?
Yeah. Give me 1 second here. It is. You telling me to pull this shit up?
Yeah, pull this shit up, Bailey.
All right, so we got one new spoiler card at the end of the banned and restricted announcement. It is the token lightning wizard weapon Volzar the Lightning Rod, and it looks very cool. It's got all these like lightning like things streaking off of it. It's kind of just like floating there.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of like how Auxilio is constructed, which is interesting. I'm gonna save the weird part for last, so I'm kind of gonna read this backwards. But its effect is a once per turn instant for one resource. You amp X, where X is the number of lightning cards you've played this turn, which is interesting to say the least. I know, like, we have some okay, like lightning instants and stuff like that to kind of help with that, and I mean a lot of good lightning cards that just have go again. But the top text says, if you control an aura permanent with sigil in its name, this costs one resource less to activate. Thoughts?
It's an interesting card. I think so Crucible, the default wizard staff is pay 1, next attack gets next thing that does arcane damage gets +1. But amp is like the next evolution of that. So it's pretty much pay 1. If you played a lightning card, you get +1. So it's 1-to-1 to Crucible in that way. But like beyond that, if you've played a lightning card and then you activate your staffs, you're now doing that for free and you're giving a +1. So like there's this multiplicative weird effect. Like obviously we don't know what Auxilio's like actual hero ability is gonna be. We haven't seen any lightning wizard cards. Like I think it's like he's gonna do something really, really interesting, and I really hope that I think he's gonna be able to just like spike and do some weird damage in weird ways, and I think that's gonna be cool. But like, I also at the same time I wish it did more.
I don't know. Seeing this weapon though kind of makes me think. I know we've talked about it a little bit on some of the episodes where we went over Rosetta spoilers. But I think we're gonna see a lot of like hybrid wizards in this set where they're not like Kano where it's like all in on the arcane. It's gonna be more of like that Bullander style, like mix of physical and arcane.
I was just about to say that, Bailey. I mean, you think about it, Pulse of Volthaven. I wish it was a Lightning Ice card or Lightning Ice hero because then you'd be able to play it. All those cards kind of go to dust, but you're able to play like, what's the lightning card that's go again from Arsenal?
Lightning Surge.
Lightning Surge. You're able to do all those, for free for 0.
There's a couple that like,
yeah.
Some of them even when they're played from Arsenal will let you like draw a card and things like that.
Exactly. So
that might be more of like the ice ones.
That's more of the earth, I think.
I think you're kind of spot on though, Bailey, with that. Being
the
able
new
to
staff
do the
works pretty well with the new Channel Lightning Valley, though. Now that I look at it,
that's the one that.
The first time you deal damage to an opposing hero each turn, draw a card. And then it's got the channel effect.
Oh, so, yeah. It's probably going to be like you play the channel out and then you deal damage, you draw a card, and then you kind of like infinite loop your combo type thing through your deck, which would be cool. But I also think like we don't know like what a permanent with sigil in its name is. Like the only ones we have are the only ones that are playable are Sigil of Protection, which is just a trash and absolute terrible card.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what the new Sigil cards are. Who knows? Maybe it's like some sort of like embodiment token. I think you kind of touched on that a little bit before we were recording, Zach, but
yeah,
it'd be not necessarily a replacement for the embodiments, but something new, similar to them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I think we're going to see like a lot of really interesting things come out. Like, I think this, like we had heavy hitters at the beginning of the year, which was this like this very math based, like attack, defend, maybe you attack, react, maybe there's defense reaction type meta. And I think we're going to go in like, Runeblades do their own weird thing, but like we're gonna come in with these wizards, and they're just gonna be doing this like weird arcane damage, pinging off, gaining health, playing things at instant speed, and it's gonna be a complete like shake up.
Oh yeah, no, it's
and I think
Wizards
it's,
and Rune Blades. This whole set is just gonna be weirdness to the
Carter
max.
is way too excited for new Runeblades that are actually playable because Vincent's not playable. But I think it's like I think hopefully like they give us like enough support for them with like Earth Runeblade cards that they get their own unique identity. Yeah.
Do you guys think they're going to create new pulses? As in, like, Pulse of Volthaven, Pulse of Candlehold, and Pulse of Eisenloft? I mean, obviously, Pulse of Eisenloft and Pulse of Volthaven can't be used because no ice, but do you think they're going to create new ones?
I mean, I think they would create a card that does like that similar type of thing, like for like each lightning and for the earth ones as well. I think that is a possibility, but
Do you think they'd be legendary still? Or do you think they will be a 3 of Majestic?
I think they would be like based on the things that we've seen over the past couple of months. Like it would not surprise me if they're like legendary rarity. Like I think,
The kind of in the same vein as the Sacred Art
Mhm.
cards.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like a pseudo specialization that really only one hero can use.
Mhm.
I think that's cool, but also
I
this
kind of
week,
like that over just like straight specializations too, because it kind of just leaves them open for the next hero to pick up the mantle after the current
Yeah.
one. Hello.
yeah, so they're not like they're not like forced. Like you don't feel bad for like using a specialization, for not using a specialization in your deck just because like the new hero with the same name or something like that can't play it. So I think there's some interesting things there. But also this week we got the full list of the Boltyn pre-con armory deck that comes out in I think a week. So
Yes, sir.
Boltyn,
It's like in a week.
yeah, Bailey, you're the Boltyn
Yeah.
player, so I mean I think
Yeah, I've
it
looked
has
over
Lumina
the
in the
list
deck.
a couple
So
times. The Lumina inclusion is very nice. I mean it's Lumina. What more can I say there? It's kind of just his bread and butter. Especially in like a more Raiden focused build, like it's still going to be very good. You just obviously you're not getting like the same kind of power that you would if you were on like a Sabers build or an Axis build, something where you could more take advantage of being able to swing upwards of like 4 to 6 times with your weapon.
Yep.
But it's still going to be good. The deck looks solid. There's really nothing in there that doesn't surprise me, but I've got no complaints about it either. Like it just looks like a very solid Boltyn deck, kind of in the same vein as the KO Armory. Nothing like super powerful that's gonna, allow you to win worlds or something with a precon deck, but it's gonna be a very solid starting point for anyone looking to pick up Boltyn.
yeah, and I think if you're looking to pick up like Flesh and Blood as a game, like the way that like the KO Armory deck works and the way like this deck looks, like it's a good starting point for the game. Like you're going to be competitive at an Armory level, and then you're going to be able to like if you want to upgrade your Boltyn deck, it's like you're missing what Tunic and Spirit of Arena. Is that really like the major things that like call to you, Bailey?
Yeah, I mean, so I run a very different like Boltyn list than most people. My list does not run Tunic in favor of the chest piece.
Oh, Soulbound Resolve.
Soulbound. Yep.
Yep, Soulbound Resolve, simply for the fact that it's a block 2 with temper. But I'm also on a more fatigue style Boltyn list because out of all the warriors, Boltyn has an absolute fridge of armor and can take advantage of it very well. He also gets very strong D-reacts in things like why am I not remembering the name of this
Soul
now?
Food?
It's been a while since
Soul
I
Food.
pulled the deck out. Soul
Yep.
Shield, thank you, Zack.
Oh, Soul Shield. Yeah.
We just got the new one, Saving Grace, which is also phenomenal. You can charge with it, and then if you've charged, you just give an attack -2, so it's essentially a 0 for 5 D react.
I also think it's really interesting they included a banneret of resiliency, which is if you've charged with this, it gets +1. So you can charge off the saving grace. I think some of his equipment you can charge off it too if you block with it.
All
so like
of his
there's
equipment
ways.
outside of the chest piece
Yeah,
allows you
so
to
I think
charge
there's like
defensively.
they're teaching like a very like I want to say a fatigue way to play Boltyn, but they're teaching a very like good basic fundamental flesh and blood.
I mean,
It's doing the kinds of things that you want to do with combo Boltyn, right? Because combo Boltyn at the start of the game is very defensive, and I think combo Boltyn actually can take advantage of some of this equipment very well, because the whole goal with him is to charge quickly to find your Luminas and pop off that way. So this new equipment, my biggest gripe with it is something that I've complained about a lot lately, is the fact that we just don't get temper or battle worn equipment anymore. But it's all 2-block blade break, but it also allows you to defend or to charge defensively, which helps you get to that Lumina pop off turn that much quicker.
Yeah.
well, we also
So-
see red sink below in the Boltyn deck as well, which is also a great mainstay defense reaction. I mean, just feeding into that defensive build really helps with Boltyn. But we did also get the final 2 armor pieces revealed. Solar Plexus and Bracers of Bellona's Grace. Solar Plexus is no block. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
It's interesting. I know there's been some chatter that, oh my god, Prism can take advantage of this because it's just a light equipment, and it says pay. It's instant, so you destroy it, and then cards. So you banish a card from your soul, and then yellow cards cost 1 less to play this turn. So
Yeah, it's the
everyone's
light
like, oh,
sash.
Prism can do some things, and it's just like Prism's soul economy is terrible as it is right now. Like, unless you're playing like OG Prism and LL, and like you crack that, and then you swing like War Tune for free into War Tune for free into Erudition for 1 into something else into some other things, like okay, but like
I mean, Prism's also still very vulnerable to poppers in that scenario.
yeah, so it's like you have a popper and you do nothing, so it's like, oh well, I guess I'll be sad. Like
Yeah, if you pop Solar Plexus, I might as well just show you my 6 power in hand, and we can
Yeah.
like, move on.
so like I think like in that
But-
way it's not good, but I think for
But
Boltyn,
new
because
Prism
like, especially
also
with-
just can't take advantage of it as well, right? Like, because she's very still like limited on her actual go again.
yeah.
So at most, like, you're reducing the cost of 2 heralds. It doesn't do anything to the angels.
Yep. It just
just
doesn't
lets you-
feel. I mean, it's a cool card. Like, I think it's like thematically, I was like, that's just like awesome. I think it works really well for this Boltyn armory deck. Like, you can build up a soul, and then you can swing some yellow cards, and then like maybe you go in for like a Lumina turn or something like that afterwards, and you have like maybe resources like a take flight usually costs 1, but you can go take flight for 0, feed your soul, give it go again, and you kind of just like snowball from there. Like, I think it's interesting.
It's also like there's only 4 cards in the entire precon list that can actually like take advantage of the Plexus.
Oh yeah,
So
and that yeah.
everything else in it is already 0 cost or it's red.
Yep.
So
That's what happens.
What's your guys' thoughts on the arms? The Bracers of Bellona's Grace.
I mean, creating a courage token is awesome. I feel like courage tokens in Boltyn are really strong because it automatically turns on this hero ability to be able to give something go again without having to have the opponent block, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think his equipment suite allows him to generate the tokens that are beneficial for his game plan, which I think is good. So I don't know. I think like if I was starting the game and I've built and disassembled Boltyn like 3 or 4 times at this point now, I would be comfortable buying this deck and being able to upgrade it and find a hero that I enjoy.
I think
I think
it'd be an easy upgrade. If you look at the weapon, it's Raiden or Raideen,
Yep.
however some people say it. Keyword sword. The Iron Song verses are only $20, and that's a pay 1, and it's a temper. And your next sword attack this turn gets, when this hits a hero, create a courage token, and that's kind of the last attack you're throwing at the end of a chain. So I think it's a really good upgrade to go into Iron Song verses over the Bracers of Bologna. But I mean, Bracers is a great start. I mean, 2-block, blade break, and you're able to do whatever you need to do with a charge. But
Yeah.
I think you just get more value out of Iron Song verses for a $20 upgrade with this deck.
Oh, and I think that's such a great
And
budget. I mean, I want to say budget's the right word. It is a legendary. But like I think that's just like a great like path. Like when you play the precon deck, it's going to teach you about like blocking with your arms creates a courage, and then you're going to upgrade for the $20 legendary, and you're going to get it's going to do a similar thing. So like your play pattern doesn't really change as much, and you just kind of get to do the stronger, more powerful thing as you kind of learn how to play the deck. And I think if that's the goal of these decks, which I fully believe it is to help people like learn how to play the game and have fun. And I think it's doing exactly that. And I'm excited to see people pick it up. Like, unfortunately, it doesn't have like the KO deck had Sash. That was just absolutely an insane card for KO.
Yep.
But like this is a good starting point for Boltyn. He's going to be around for a while. So if people really resonate with the hero, like here you go. Now's your time.
You know, I hate to say it.
That's the upgrade path is not bad either. Like a lot of this warrior equipment is at some of the cheapest it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just Iron Song versus like
Brave Forge.
Brave Forge bracers are $40-$50 right now.
Courage.
Which is, you know, by no means budget, but it's still like within reach. What is grains at even? Because I think Boltyn
60.
can take advantage of grains pretty well.
I think it's at 60. Maybe even less.
So like there's
But
the upgrade path is still very like attainable to make this
I hate to say it.
more competitive.
I hate that they call it an armory deck for some of these, because like, yes, you can do okay at your armory, but this is really helping the kitchen table. Honestly, for people to get into the game, buy one of these armory decks in quotations and be able to play them against each other and just have a good time, and kind of leads them into the game to buy some of the legendary equipment that's rainbow foil that's somewhat cheap, and then you're actually somewhat viable in some of those armories is what I see them as.
Even like unupgraded, like I think these armory decks are still viable. I guess I can't speak as much to the KO one because I did throw in my Scowling Flesh Bag and my arms, as well as like 2 CNCs. But other than that, like the deck is pretty untouched, and like it still was doing okay. That's what I played this last weekend or yesterday. So
Fair
like
enough.
it still felt like I was doing okay. It just doesn't have the consistent sources of go again that like the more built KO decks have, and that's okay.
See,
Like
and,
these armory
And, like,
decks
it's
are
not
meant to
supposed
be.
to be that.
and
Yeah,
that's
I think
these
Josh
armory
brought up a
decks-
good point. Like with the kitchen table, like I can grab this off the shelf. My buddy can grab the KO one, and we can like actually play like a good game of Flesh and Blood. And I think that's like why we've seen them get away from kind of like the Blitz starter decks, because they weren't beneficial for helping people learn the game. I mean, I remember I got a Blitz Prism starter deck when I started playing because I wanted to play Prism, and it was just like, this deck does nothing. Like it had there was no synergy to it. Like you can see like there's synergy and like there's play lines and there's ways to play this deck that make it enjoyable and give people like that entry point into the game so that they can enjoy it. They can play it with their friends at the kitchen table. They can show up to an armory. They're not going to get slaughtered. They're going to have a good time. And then like, you know, build the game of Flesh and Blood.
Exactly, and that's how we've been saying Flesh and
As an
Blood.
Azalea. Sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say exactly how Flesh and Blood has always been played. CC Blitz, great game, great mode. Don't get me wrong, but CC is the mainstay of this game, and that's kind of where they kind of need to steer towards. And these armory decks and being able to just pick them up, play them off the shelf, and being able to play with a friend at a kitchen table with these decks at pretty much the same level with playing against each other compared to buying into the game with some of these legendaries. You know, it really kind of just gets more people into the game, which I think is the right direction LSS needs to go with some of these decks.
No, the way they've handled the Boltyn and the KO armory decks does make me excited to see what's coming in the Azalea deck, as well as like an Azalea main. I'll still probably end up picking one up just to have it, but I think having like a good entry point for Rangers as well. And if every armory deck is going to get its own version of Sash,
why not?
yes, please. Give me something that reduces arrows by 1.
Exactly. Why not? And that's
I'm
the main goal of a
with
chest.
armory decks going forward.
That's the main goal of a chest.
I can't remember. I thought I saw something that there was talks about some of the ones for next year, but do we know what the rumors are for some of the ones for next year?
The only thing I feel like I've heard is like the one that comes out early next year or one that comes out next year is going to be a hero that we haven't seen before.
Ooh.
So like potentially maybe it's one of the Rosetta heroes or maybe it's like Adult Volda.
Ooh, I really like that actually. Give us an adult guardian that's like seen but not seen. That's different. Give us something. Yeah. I think they're on the right path where they're giving us, one of each kind of hero in that class, as in, obviously Brute, Ranger, Warrior. Give us something different every single time.
I think we'll see a Guardian or like a Runeblade next. I think just because of Rosetta coming out with, Runeblade support there.
I think Wizard is really hard just because, dude, honestly, Wizard was one of the scariest classes for me to get into. I don't know for anybody else, but it's like one of the scariest classes where you have to think, you have to know what you're actually doing before you actually be able to do what you're doing in that deck.
We do know how scary it is for Josh to think, so
as
Kano was.
Dude, I was so scared. Okay, I was absolutely scared to get into that deck. And after learning the deck, it makes 100% like clarity. But if you were to tell a new player like, "Hey, play Kano," what do you think their thoughts are going to be?
Like, how do I do that? Like,
what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited for these armory decks. Get more people into the game. Get more players. Bring them from Magic. Fuck that game. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. If you like Magic, go for it. Do what you want to. But no. Any other conclusions on this Boltyn deck, especially Bailey?
No, I think it's.
I don't think so.
Good for the game.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, why don't we kind of dive into some questions? I know we're coming up on about an hour here for this episode, a little over an hour. I know we got a few of them, especially from some local legends. I know one's from Zack. Are there any specific cards that remind you of a specific person or games or fab memory / moment? Zach, you want to say this one?
Yeah, I think for me,
answer your own question.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like always interesting. Like you play a hero or you play Bailey, who's always on Azalea, and then like maybe you play somebody else, and like we just remember and we pick up these little things that I think is just like interesting, like in this game more so than like maybe some other ones. Like the first time you got CNC pummeled, like you remember that. Like the first time you got Oak and Old as against Starvo, like you remember that. But like I think for me, like whenever I play ALS, I remember like my first like win in CC was against a Dory, and they had like 3 or 4 counters on their Dawn Blade. We were both down to like no health, and he goes buff, buff. I go ALS, and then he's like, okay, and his whole game plan just falls apart. But it was just, like, it was such a funny moment of just like, you know, people playing Flesh and Blood coming together. Whenever I see Codex of Frailty, I think of Sean, because I sold Sean my Codex of Frailties when they were only $60, as opposed to like their $120 price point or whatever it is now. So that's always fun to me to see, like just like little things like that. Like we carry on these like weird cards and tokens, and like, you know, remember our friends, we carry them with us in different ways, which I think is cool that this game does.
For me, I would have to say literally the 4-letter word route. And I know Cliff and Ty are both kind of shrugging at that word. I've killed them both on that card, I want to say a few times. And Cliff absolutely hates it. Despises it. If I say the word reprise and he goes, ugh, and I just hear the sigh come out of his mouth across the table, I'm like, yes, sir. I love it. But how about you, Bailey? Is it Dommy Mommy?
This is such a tough question for me. I'm so terrible with like names and faces of people that I've played and things like that outside of, you know, the locals at the shop. I'm still trying to figure out who the fuck Alex is, but that's
oh my goodness.
Just
we love you,
Alex.
Alex.
I love you, buddy. Enjoy your shout out. But no, I don't know. Like, for me, my most memorable card is Red in the Ledger. I don't know how many times I've hit people with that, and it's just been like, oh fuck, like it just kind of shuts down my entire turn, and it's like, yeah. But no, the first time Ty played a Channel Lake Frigid on me, he was on Icelander, and like I knew what the card did, but the first time I like had it played against me was when he was on Icelander, and it was at instant speed, and I was like, God damn it. So like every time I've played my Channel Lake Frigids, I'm like, oh, this is, yeah, thanks, Ty.
No, you said the word
red. Actually, thinking about that, every time I activate my Spellbound Creepers, I thank Carter for introducing me to that interaction.
True.
Because I had no clue you could use them to like essentially get your action point back. So here you go, Carter. Thank you for introducing me to Spellbound Creepers.
I'm gonna answer this question for Cliff. I'm gonna use Tekla Foundry Heart and boost for 2 resources, and then I'm gonna go off and go maximum velocity. Fucking Cliff with the Tekla Foundry Heart.
Oh my god. Cliff's max velos too. Fuck
it's every time, dude. It's fucking wild. But then you also got Ty saying, yeah, I'm gonna go off and Tekla Vossen. Every time.
Singularity pass.
Dude, don't talk about that with Kano. I have nightmares. But I know Cliff also said Betsy kind of looking like Tyler low-key to that question there, Zach. So I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
That's funny.
But
I did say Slap Happy reminds me of Tanner.
You did. Tyler said, if you could delete one hero from the game, which one would it be and why?
Starvo, because Starvo.
Yeah, Starvo or Briar. Starvo meta, I didn't enjoy playing. I played Prism when Briar was doing random Briar things, and that also wasn't fun. It just felt like especially like pre-errata Briar, like when she was just going like creating 700 embodiments, 700 lightning surge. Like it's just like you didn't get to play the game. At least against Starvo, I could ALS and take away their fused Oakenhold. That was always fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, both of those heroes, not the best of memories.
I agree. I was a Starvo player and hated playing Starvo and hated playing
Fuck
against
you.
Starvo.
Ugh,
So
sorry.
no, I agree, Bailey. I agree. It was menacing. It was disgusting, and I hated myself every second of it.
This
How
one
about you?
got a lot of people in the Discord answering as well. I don't think I've seen this many people answer someone
I
else's
feel like
question.
everyone was just hating on Spectre and ALS.
Oh, they were. I
Dylan
agree
as
with
the
that.
resident-
Prism caught strays for no reason. The issue
Dylan
is
as the
ALS
resident
and Spectre as a
player
mechanic.
immediately called out Icelander and Prism, and I just thought that was so funny. I was like, of course the ninja player would be like, yeah, fuck Icelander, fuck Prism.
As well as the Runeblade player. 100%. Always hated on it. Always hated every second of it. I know Tyler also said, I think mine would be Kano. My question is why?
I think Kano, I've said this so much. I feel like I say this all the time. Like, Kano is good for the game. Kano being meta is terrible for the game. Like, I think having people like have sideboards to like play a different way, to interact with heroes, like, not everything needs to be block 6, swing 6, repeat. Like, we can do some dynamic creative stuff, and Kano does that, and I think that's good for the game. But when Kano becomes meta and he is the hero, it's just like, yeah, I know, like, he can do, like, if you're playing Teklo and you don't have AB, and it's just like, well, good luck, have fun. But, like, that's a you problem for playing Teklo. So, like, you can, again, side in things, do that stuff. Like, we can get there, but, like,
At the same
I understand
time,
why people
it,
dislike him. But yeah.
it keeps players in check. It makes you know what is in the meta and like what heroes are out there. Because if you don't put Kano in the back of your mind, what are you doing? Like, honestly, like, what are you doing? He's always out there. He's always going to be a menace. It's just scary to play against an AB hero like that. And being able to pop off, well, I mean, that's a you problem, not anybody else.
Yeah. But it's also, like, funny that, like, I feel like people could say similar things about Icelander, like, when she was in the meta.
She
So,
became
like,
Bolander, though. I mean,
yeah, but she was, yeah, it was just like a different thing. It's just like,
you're able to block. I mean, with Kano,
I
if
think,
you're not bringing AB, you're kind of
well, and
screwed
if
the
you're not
pooch.
like, and you're like, oh, hey, look, I have no cards in my hand. Do as much arcane damage as you want. It's just like, that's on you for not, like, respecting your opponent. Like,
Exactly.
there is a back and forth. Like, Kano does some broken and really strong things, which most heroes can do in some level. Like, so why not?
It took me forever to figure out that I should be holding on to blues by the end of turn in the Kano matchup. Like, so many times going into Kano, I'd be like, I just need to race them. And, like, to an extent, you kind of do. But it was like, I just need to, like, dump my entire hand here, hope their crackback isn't good. First of all, their crackback is always more than you can do to them. So don't even try that. But it took me so long to figure out, oh yeah, if I keep like 1 or 2 blues in hand, it doesn't hurt as much.
Or playing smart, be rewarded. We love to see it.
I agree. Well, I know Cliff also said to that response, honestly, in my opinion, the only choice is Starvo. Every other hero is able to be beaten consistently or has a mechanism that has multiple hoops to jump through in order to reap in benefits. Starvo existing hurts multiple heroes due to targeting bans. So that was Cliff's response. We do have one more question though. It is from Tyler, Just a Gold Barrett. First off, I want to shout out to Zack for filling for me in tonight. You are the GOAT in emoji quotations. But the question for the boys, With the recent ban announcement today, will Zen decks drop the bonds line altogether? Does Descendant Gustwave become that much less consistent with only 3 bonds in deck? Let me know what you think. Also, Cliff, F you. With a kissy emoji. And then
Yeah, Cliff out here just catching random strays for no reason.
Cliff also responded with, I hope you get abused in your nursing home. Kissy face. But
Lots of love. Lots of love.
love-hate relationship right there. But what are your two's thoughts on that question there? Do you think Zens are actually going to drop the whole bonds list, or do you think they're just still going to rip bonds?
I mean, I think you can still run, if you really want to, you run 3 gust waves red, 3 gust waves blue, and then you run the red bonds, and like you try to get recursion off the bonds when you hit it for like a super spike turn. But like, I think like playing for that is not the best idea. I don't know. I think it's gonna be very interesting. Like I think Tiger Zen is like maybe the focus to focus on right now, and then give that idea some leeway. Like I think 3 bonds is solid. Like we said, it's now just a majestic. Like how many other majestics are you running as just 3 cards? Like it's pretty standard to do in this game, but I don't know. I could see it both ways. I could see Zens wanting to stay with the bonds things and building around that. And then because you can also tutor off his hero ability, so as long as you just have a descendant in hand, it doesn't matter what color it is, you can go search for your bonds and do the thing that you want, which I think is that's strong in its own right. So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I think Zen is still going to stick to the bonds line. I mean, just the whole fact that his hero ability is built around combo, I think you're still going to try to find decent combo lines within the deck and still run Ancestral Harmony. Especially if you don't run any of those Crouching Tiger cards that hit combo and you're able to play it off Ancestral Harmony, you're still not going to have a huge pop-off turn. Don't get me wrong, yes, you can still get benefits from the combo off Ancestral, but if you're able to hit a combo card with Ancestral and still have 3 combo cards in hand, that's a total of like averaging 5 to 7 value off that one card. Being a blue 0, block 3, so I truly think they're never going to go off of that line, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it's strong. They could. I think there will be some decks that do, and I think there will be some decks that don't, and I think that just comes down to individual player preference. If we're being honest,
That is true.
But I think it's so like it's such a strong card. So who knows?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I'm in agreement. I think they will still keep the 3.
No matter what, right? I mean, maybe they even substitute their 3 blue bonds for 3 dishonors now. I mean, even being able to get their dishonors off, still being a 0 cost block 3 combo card. It's a fill-in. It's a changeable card for the blue bonds. Not go again, but
God, please don't let Zen dishonor me too.
he will. Just don't put it past him. I think he might swap that out for the blue. In all honesty. It'll be like a last resort kind of thing, but I wouldn't put it past him.
True.
Well, is there any other conclusions you guys want to make on some of those questions or anything else?
No, I think it'll be interesting to see the meta shake up in the weeks before Pro Tour, and how everyone adjusts and like what decks kind of fill in the meta. But it's hard to tell right now, especially because like the next big event is going to be Pro Tour, so it's gonna be hard to get like that testing in or see how players adjust if there's a call in or a battle harden happening around the same time.
No, I agree. And that's happening in 2 weeks, correct?
End of the month, whenever that is. 25th. Yeah, so 2 weeks.
Perfect. Well, talking on that note of the 25th, if any players in Minnesota want to come out, we will be having an event on the last day, I'm pretty sure, of the event. July 27th, we have a Fab 1K at Legends. It's a $40 buy-in. It'll be during the Rails to Trails event in Watertown. We typically have a skirmish, but we are going to do a 1K event instead. It's going to be a cap of 32 players. Since it's during the Rails to Trails, parking is going to be tough. They close off Main Street, but you can always find parking up the road a little bit. If you talk to me, I might even have about 5 spots in my driveway. So, and that's not too far, as Bailey knows.
Yeah,
But
it's not even 5 minutes.
But we did want to note that. So we got the Fab 1K on July 27th, $40 buy-in. Let us know if you can't check it out. You can always go to legendsonmain.com. You can see all of the stuff there, all of the notes. But Zack, we want to give you a big shout out. Thank you for coming on the episode. A little short notice. We were a little short-handed this episode, but we definitely wanted to fill you in and get more people in here when Cliff is gone. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to help. Always fun talking flesh and blood with you guys.
Oh,
We miss you, brother.
Yeah, one day I'll be back.
Better be soon.
he will make his triumphant return.
Good. But closing on the episode, you can always find the Discord in the show notes. We always have it there. You can always click on the link, join the Discord, talk to us. All of us are there, including the random Ben Clifford that checks in every once in a while and gives us hot takes. You can always send us an email at bigdeckenergycast@gmail.com. We are always looking out there as well. We are looking to put more stuff up on our YouTube, correct, Bailey?
Yes.
So hopefully get some gameplay, get some commentary. I know, Zack, you're looking to do a little commentary on there as well from our gameplay on Talishar. We will also have the link in the bio for the 1K on the Legends on Main website. We'll get that up on there. Easy click, easy get into, 32 player cap. So make sure you get in there on time. We are always on Apple Podcast and Amazon Podcast as well. So check us out there. But as we always like to say, signing off. Peace.
See you next week.
Deuces.